It's almost been an hour since I was crying, but there is no one to hear me. My legs are shivering because of the fear of the dark, and I'm sitting on the floor while hugging my knees. Just when I think that I've hit rock bottom and I can't go any further, just then something worse happens. Why can't I ever find happiness? My heart hurts now. This is it. I'm going to take my life now. I've had enough. Just then, I hear the door of my room opening, and my legs start shaking faster. I'm so scared of him, scared to death. He's like a monster of death. He comes inside and switches on the lights. He was wearing a smirk on his face, but as soon as he saw me crying, he became worried. Why? Must be because my face looks horrible after crying for a whole hour. I looked away when he came to sit next to me on the floor. He patted my hair while I was cursing him in my mind. Jungkook, why are you crying? I'm here now. Stop crying. His softened eyes looked at me, and I couldn't help but look back because I need something from him this time. I said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have disobeyed you. Please don't lock me again. I'm scared of the dark. My voice trembled while looking at him. I knew he wasn't going to agree, but I still asked, Jungkook, why didn't you tell me before? Of course I won't lock you again. I stared at him, not believing what he just said. Jungkook, is that why you were crying? I'm really sorry. I didn't know. You should have told me. I was really scared when you got angry on me. I couldn't even utter a word. I shouldn't have said that. What will he do now? After a few seconds of him staring at me, my eyes widened when he came closer and hugged me by pulling my head in his embrace. It was warm and I was comfortable. He made sure that I felt that. Then I heard him say, I'm so sorry. I won't be angry on you from now on. Please forgive me. I didn't know what to say anymore. Just the fact that he agreed not to lock me again. I was happy and looked down without saying anything. He broke the hug and said to me, Jungkook, if you need anything else, you can always tell me. He said with a smile, the smile that didn't look disgusting to me anymore. But I still hated him from every corner of my heart because of what he did to me. I was sitting on the bench, crying my eyes out and regretting the life of mine. The rain mixed with my tears, another reason not to hold back my tears, just because I was in the middle of the park. Just then I noticed someone staring at me from afar. I looked there, and a guy sitting in his car was staring at me without much of expressions on his face. It was getting awkward, so I got up, wiped my tears, and walked to my home. The next day, I came home from my first job to take an hour nap before my second job started. But as soon as I entered inside, I saw the same guy from yesterday sitting on the couch of our living room having tea with my uncle. I came to them and asked my uncle, who is he? My uncle said, what is this look of yours? How many times have I told you to dress nicely? When did he say that to me? Uncle, whatever, greet him. He's John Jungkook. You're going with him. With him? Where? I asked without much of a shock. Jungkook. So I will explain from here. He put the cup of tea on the table and stood up in front of me. Jungkook. I like you. What did you just say? I couldn't think of anything else to ask. Jungkook, I just signed a contract with your uncle that in exchange of $10 million, I'm buying his nephew. And he agreed. My eyes widened. I looked at my uncle and then at him. I must be hearing things right. I asked my uncle, what is he saying? You didn't do that, right? I mean, you cannot. Uncle, it's done. Stop overreacting now and go with him nicely. Dress nicely and behave nice. What the hell are you even saying? My voice raised before I noticed it. And then my uncle slapped me just because I raised my voice a little. A tear formed in my eye, and I couldn't process what was even happening. I can't believe how heartless you both are. How dare you treat me like a toy? My uncle was going to slap me again, but I was shocked when he, the man who just bought me, stopped my uncle's hand. Jungkook, she is mine now. Let me handle her. And my uncle, he didn't even say anything. In fact, he smiled at Jungkook. Jungkook looked at me and he whispered in my ear, come with me without any drama. I kept shaking my head in denial. No, I will never go with you. His eyes darkened and he held my wrist to take me towards his car forcefully. I kept screaming for my uncle to help me, but he didn't move an inch. He took me to his room and asked me to behave myself when I screamed, let me go. Why are you doing this to me? He didn't reply me, but just said what he wanted. I got you some clothes already. Get changed. Why should I listen to you? I'm not your slave. Words came out of my mouth without thinking. He looked at me angrily and then growled, I'm asking you for the last time to behave yourself. I was really scared of him at that point, but I didn't do anything he said. Jungkook, that's it, he said and grabbed my wrist to take me to another room. He threw me off there and said, stay here until you want to listen to me again. He said and locked me inside the room without even switching off the lights and letting me say anything. I was really scared of the dark. I tried to find a switchboard with my shivering legs, but I couldn't find it. I sat on the floor in horror and hugged my knees while my tears couldn't stop. After a few days, this life became my new normal. I remember when I used to shiver just when it was time for him to come home. It's not the same now. I'm not scared of him anymore. He always makes me comfortable around him, always listens to me, buys me anything I want. I don't ask for much, however, except the daily needs, but he still makes sure that it is fulfilled before anything else. I can't escape this life now anyway. I thought it would be worst hell I've been through, and although it was a hell, but his presence in it made a bit better. But no matter what he does, I can't accept him because of how he bought me like I was a toy. But still, living with him is better than living with my uncle. At least he doesn't beat me. At least he doesn't expect me to work 16 hours a day while doing nothing himself except wasting my money to buy drinks for himself. At least he is good to me. A tear fell from my eye when I remembered how my uncle used to treat me. I wiped my tear as soon as I heard him coming inside the mansion. I served the dishes on the table. This was the first time I was greeting him when he came home, because this time I'm going to ask for something big. I don't know if he would even agree. He sat on the dining table and looked at me as he said, this is unusual. It's not. I just wanted to serve it instead of the maid. I don't want anything in return. Jungkook. Then why are you red? I am red. My eyes widened and my heart skipped a beat. I sighed and sat on the table. It's still too difficult to talk casually with him. Jungkook smiled and said, "What do you want now?" I kept stuttering, but I couldn't say a word. Before I knew, he leaned forward towards me and held my wrist. He pulled me into his lap and made me sit onto it. He brushed his finger on my cheek and asked, "What do you need?" His voice was soft like a melody. God, he will be so angry after hearing me. To be continued.